Hello and welcome to Sustainable Future. I'm Dan Murphy at COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. On this episode, we discuss how energy companies are positioning as the industry transitions to a greener future. Our discussion took place on stage at the world's largest energy event, Adipec in Abu Dhabi. Joining me on stage is an absolutely top-tier panel, a top-tier lineup of guests to help you understand transition and innovation. Please make them feel welcome. Joining me is Lorenzo Simonelli, the Chairman and CEO of Baker Hughes. Lorenzo, welcome. Takayuki Ueda is President and CEO of INPEX. Sir, great to have you here. Olivier Lepuche is CEO of SLB. Sir, good to have you as well. And Marvi Zingoni is the CEO of Power at GE Vernova. Marvi, great to have you here too, so thank you so much. Let's focus in on the conversation with what's happening in the energy transition first of all. Here's my question. As it stands right now, 80% of the energy mix is still fossil fuels. So where do we stand in the energy transition today? And how are each of your companies responding to the challenges that we face? Lorenzo, you're first up.
When you look at what you just stated with regards to energy transition and 80% of the energy still being provided by hydrocarbons, it just goes to show how difficult it is to change the energy mix. And that's not because companies aren't making their efforts and progress isn't being made. It's because it takes time and it's a continuation. With regards to Baker Hughes, I'm glad to say that since 2019, when we took the baseline of our emissions, we've been able to decrease by 28.3% Scope 1 and 2. And it's by deploying technologies, by being able to transfer from the usage of diesel on forklift troughs or lighting to LEDs, going towards electric batteries, and it's driving efficiencies within our operations. That's only the start. Then you've got to continue also as you go into the way in which you deploy new technologies and you invest in new technologies as well. Fundamentally, though, it takes time, and you don't change the energy mix in 1 year or 2 years. It's going to be a multi-decade process.
Takayuki, over to you. A major LNG producer. You're, of course, servicing key clients across Asia and, of course, servicing Japan as well. How is INPEX positioning itself in the global energy transition?
I think with regard to this energy transition, especially Asian region, I see our company has already committed net to zero by 2050, like other companies. And we have also decided to reduce our energy intensity by 30% by the year 2030. And we are very on the track for reaching to these goals. I think what is important at this moment is to reduce the carbon dioxide from the natural gas itself by using a lot of technology such as carbon capture and storage.
Marvi, over to you. What's your response to the energy transition as it stands, and as a leader in renewables and power generation? Just walk me through how you're responding to some of these challenges.
So when we think about it, we think about the challenges, but we also think about this as an opportunities. And Lorenzo highlighted it before. I mean, it's what we can do today and what we can be doing in our years ahead to keep on decarbonizing it. So think about the role that today renewables for sure, but gas as a reliable dispatcher of power could have, as this hunger for power is still in there. But also we need to make sure that we do not give up in our journey in the long run on decarbonizing the power system as a whole. Doesn't matter if it is carbon capture of hydrogen for the turbines, or we develop even more these small modular reactors that we are doing today. So the technologies are in there. To be honest, I'm not very much concerned on the technologies. It is a matter of how we work together in a collaborative way to accelerate the pace at which the transition takes place. And for sure, we cannot do that if we don't have a reliable grid. So we need to make investments in a stronger grid to where not only the transmission, but the orchestration of it, and that's where not only power for AI, but AI for power could play an important role in making that grid even more smarter of what it is today.
Olivier, over to you. Just on my first question, where do we stand in the energy transition today?
So I think I look at it as a long play. More than 2/3 of the energy demand was met still with fossil fuel. And that's the reality of today and that's the reality of tomorrow. And it will take time before this transition, as we say. So it will take a balance of technology, a balance of energy source, and a balance of companies to play together. And balance is the key word, in my opinion. We need to keep the balance in this so that we can address the security, the affordability, and the sustainability at the same time, which is very complex. And it will take time. It will take all of us back to the collaboration.
Just to challenge some of the views here, what we've seen is fossil fuel use in the energy mix only declining marginally over the last few years. That's despite the investment that we've seen going into this space. That's despite the collaboration, despite the progress we've made in technology as well. So you speak about a balance. Is it reasonable to expect that fossil fuels will continue to be part of the energy mix forevermore, or do we actually see a future where the transition, as it's exactly defined, takes place and we see renewables taking up a larger share? When is that going to happen?
It will happen, and then I believe it will happen. But I think today you have 2 or 3 factors that are slowing down the mix of renewable into the total end use of energy. First is the grid infrastructure permitting deployment of the grid that can support this rapid deployment of. The second is affordability. And third, I think you have an existing ecosystem that use and make use of gas and oil as part of the heating, as part of the cooling, as part of mobility, and as part of the industry hard-to-abate sector that will take decades to decarbonize. So that's part of the equation. So we need to account for this, not stop investing, continue to invest, yet do it in a better way to decarbonize that investment, and at the same time accelerate so that we get a better mix every year, so that we mitigate the risk on climate and we reach a balance for the future.
When we talk about energy transition, I think we've got to start looking at it from an energy expansion standpoint. We actually need all of the above strategy, and over the course of the next 15 years, we know that energy demand is going to increase by 10%. That's further even intensified during the last 18 months by the growth of AI. So how do we match the need for energy with then the capability we have today? And that means finding ways to use the hydrocarbons, natural gas, oil, looking at then the energy expansion, but focus on the emissions, the technology that can be developed, and let it be an orderly move of expansion and not say hydrocarbons are bad. And I think there's more pragmatic discussion around that. And the big element here is natural gas that we've mentioned several times is abundant and is going to be not just a transition, but a destination fuel. And we've got to make sure that we don't suffer energy poverty as we go forward.
Takayuki, did you want to speak to that as well?
I'd like to add a kind of a cost aspect, economics of the energy. I think that every customer, every user wants to have the clean energy, but no one wants to pay additional even penny for the clean energy. Everybody wants to have the clean energy with the existing cost. Who wants to pay for such kind of higher cost of 3 or 4 times higher than normal energy? I think it seems to me that almost all countries are not ready to accept such higher cost.
All right, absolutely fascinating. I think we are out of time, so we'll have to leave it there. I hope this has been a really valuable conversation for you. I've certainly learned a lot. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make them feel welcome. Lorenzo, Takayuki, Marvi, and Olivier, thank you again for being here today.
Sponsored by Petronas.